Joining me to discuss this, starting from my extreme left, I have the spokesperson to Aswe Igodalo, Barrister Dan Osa Ogbegie. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me, Philip. Good morning.
And next to Barrister Dan Ogbegie is a political economist, lecturer at Brosale University, and he is Ibrahim Momo. Thanks for coming, Ibrahim.
Thanks for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
And of course, I have a political analyst, and he is Omogbe I1 for Timothy. Thanks for coming.
Thank you once again, Philip, for having me.
All right, joining me via our phone in is the constitutional lawyer and former commissioner for information, and he is also the publicity deputy director of the APC campaign council, in the person of Barrister Adaze Ewanta Andrew. Good morning, Andrew.
Yeah, good morning, Philip. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Quickly, I would like to start with you, Barrister Andrew. We'll look at the issues surrounding the inclusiveness in governance and the need for us to change the tides or to deepen inclusiveness in governance. You were one time Commissioner for Information in the administration of Governor Godwin Obaseki. And what do you see as should be done differently, or what do you see to deepen inclusiveness in governance, looking at the projection of the election coming up September 21, of which you, your candidate, your party, is going to make sure that Senator Mondo Okpewolo and the running mate, Dennis Idahosa, clinch the ticket or clinch that office to become the governor and deputy likewise of Edo State. Do you see the need, or do you see the need to seek for that inclusiveness in governance, or do you think we already have it in the present administration of Godwin Obaseki, and the need to also follow suit with the PDP candidate?
Yeah, thank you. I'll start with your last question. I don't think there's any form of inclusiveness, so to speak, in the present Edo State government, because you look at what the Constitution says, Section 14 says, sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom government derives all its power and authority. And you remember the euphoria that greeted Obaseki the election, or rather the election in 2020. How people came from all walks of life, people from the diaspora came all out to support him. But unfortunately, what is the situation today? You find that a whole lot of people who naturally have given so much to the emergent governor are not beneficiaries or beneficiaries. Starts with this issue of palliatives, a government that could hide indomie and rice from the people. These things are meant for the people. They are not taking bags of rice. And even beyond that, you look at the issue of local contracts, a government that will decide to bring people from Lagos, even when it involves painting of this stadium, people came from Lagos, carpentry work, you're organizing a program, the printing job, you take them to Lagos. So people are not really part of the Edo State government under the PDP. What we are looking for now is a broad-based government, a homegrown government, what the constitutional lawyer will call an autonomous system, a homegrown system, that the people will have a sense of belonging. I was in that government. I noticed that it was consultants that did the majority of the work as commissioner. It was consultants from Lagos that were doing my work. The majority of these consultants are not Edo people. So the next governor, we want a people-oriented governor. And I can dare say that the APC candidate is that person that will bring a homegrown system. Somebody that understands the plight of the common man. The son of a farmer that understands that to invest in agriculture, you don't need to deceive the people. You don't need to have an elitist system where you give fast, edible land to commercial people to cultivate, when you have local farm holders. So I think that is where I think all the political parties should bring issues that touch on the development of our states and how to bring about human capital development. How many new businesses have grown under Obaseki? None. You cannot really point at any new businesses. Apart from the short price business that he calls the public partnership, and over 10 billion of the has money spent for what is a private business. That should be, and I want this to It's not personalities or who has married. I don't think those are the kind of people that should take the center stage.
Thank you, Barrister Andrew Ewanta. Well, I think you heard rightly, and let's get your reactions on that. Dan Ogbege, he made an indictment on the fact that the present administration of Governor Olaseye Obaseki, make use of consultants, even while he was the commissioner for information. He said he wasn't the one running the office, but consultants. I want your reaction to that, because we've heard all of these stories about consultants being used. And in inclusiveness in governance, there should be more of people oriented in terms of governance. What do you think?
Yeah, well, it's quite a pity that matter doesn't know when to stop. If there was no inclusiveness in the government of Godwin Obaseki, he himself would not have served as commissioner of 2 ministries at different times in that government. When Obaseki, nominated him as commissioner for information under Ego local government, there were a lot of PDP members in Ego that complained, that fought against it, that they didn't know him. But because Obaseki saw him as a brilliant young man, he felt that, people like this should be cultivated so that they will be part of government to try and help the society, to move the society forward. If he says that Godwin Obaseki used consultants at the time, why didn't he resign? Because if I knew that I'm commissioner and I'm not able to take decision in my ministry, I'm going to resign after 3 months. Maybe 3 months might even be too long. I will resign before 3 months and leave that government. But he served as commissioner for information for over 1 year, if I'm not mistaken. He was redesignated to another ministry, I think Ministry of Gender Affairs or something like that. And he also served there until the government felt that maybe because of incompetence or so, he was relieved of his appointment, though he says that he resigned after some time, but it took him maybe like 3 years or more before he left that government. So since that time, the young man has not been able to really face reality. Sometimes you should be grateful when somebody has done something for you. Not when he favors you, you scream Hosanna. We know this young man, he was insulting all perceived enemies of the government, creating enemies for the government. I'm sure maybe that's even one of the reasons why he was relieved of his appointment. So you keep bickering since you have been removed. But when you were there, you did not see anything wrong with it. So that is my problem with Nigerian opposition politicians. The bitter politics that they play, the bitterness that they show. When you were there, you were benefiting, nothing was wrong with it. It was Hosanna all the way. It was Godwin Obaseki all the way. You are no more there, you're going from media houses, from one media houses to the other to try and, condemn the government that you were part and parcel of. Now, if you say that they use consultants, I'm not sure there's any, I don't know, because I'm not part of government. I don't speak for government. I cannot pretend to speak for government. But if they use consultants, are those consultants Edo people? That is what you should ask. Is it illegal? Is it unlawful to use consultants as part of the mechanisms of government? Now, those consultants you talk about, are they Edo people? What we should be looking at, we talk about inclusiveness. We should be looking at the gender balance in the appointments of government. We should be looking at the age demographics. We should be looking at a mixture of young people and maybe older people.
That involves the people. That involves the people of the state.
So it is about the people.
Not that involves the people of the state.
Of the state. So you asked him a question, he went on a tangent to start talking about things that were totally
okay. You are a spokesperson to Aswa Ighodalo as the candidate of the PDP.
Exactly.
Let's delve into his manifestos in terms of inclusiveness. What is he bringing on board if elected?
Aswa Ighodalo has he be able to break down his manifesto for each of the 18 local governments in Edo State. For instance, Ownde has his own manifesto, what he will do for Ownde as governor. Edo has his own. Eastern Central has his own. Edo has his own manifesto. So it means that he wants to carry the entire state along. the entire people of the state. So for Asue Ighodalo, if you know him very well, you will know that it is not about tribal sentiments. It's not about religious sentiment. It is about Edo, the oneness of Edo. It is about bringing every Edo man or woman to the table to be able to take decision on matters that affect their lives, on the governance of their state. Asue Ighodalo will use Edo people to make Edo prosper, to make all people of Edo State have opportunity to prosper. You know, his manifesto is tagged prosperity for all. And it is not just about even Edo people. It is also about the residents of Edo State. Those who are not exactly the Jews of Edo, but they live and do business in Edo. For instance, the Igbo man that does business in New Benin Market, for instance, in those places, of course, they should also be regarded as Edo people for the sake of development, for the sake of governance. So Asue also has in his manifesto to use even Hausa people who live in Edo State. So it is about all-inclusive governance for him. And that is what even Godwin Obaseki has been doing. You see the level, the number of women who are in the government of Godwin Obaseki. You see the diaspora representation in the government of Godwin Obaseki. You know, it doesn't matter the diasporans who supported him. They are so involved. They were brought in. But you know, these people, these elements in the opposition, they complain. They say, oh, Obaseki will go and bring people from Lagos. He'll go and bring people from US, from Canada, from UK. The question to ask, are these people Edo people? Are they equal stakeholders with those of us who live here? Why should we have an entitlement mentality? Because I live in Benin, or I live in Nepoma, I live in Igara. So that means I must be the one that will be chosen. So those who live in Canada, who are Edo people, those who live in the US or in Lagos and Abuja, so that means they don't have stake in this Edo state when they are Edo people.
Okay,
so
let's take
Edos must have opportunity.
Let's take the perspective
to the state.
Let's take the perspective of I14 Mogbe and of course Ibrahim Momo before I join Adazai Mata on this so that he can react to what you said.
I said to him, I don't know if he has the right to reply.
But
if he replies, I'll be obliged to also reply him. I will not be able to leave here.
Okay.
So he made
I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. Let's get your perspective, I14 Mogbe. Now, we've been having this governance, you know, in Edo State, and a lot of persons have spoken about the positives of the Edo State government under Godwin Obaseki, and the need to continue with the party because there's need to, you know, bring a flesh, put more into governance that he already laid a foundation on. Don't you think in this direction?
Thank you once again, Phillips. First of all, we all know that governance is continual. It's something, it's dynamic. It's something that continues from one stage to another, and there's no amount of performance that will kind of see that you have done exceedingly too well in your tenure of about 4 or 8 years, as the case may be. But coming down to your question as regards the performance of the outgoing administration,
and the need for the party to continue in position.
As far as I'm concerned, looking at the performance of this present dispensation, this present PDP government, it is not, to my own analysis, it will not be wise for the Edo people to continue with the government of the PDP, as the case may be. Because in the first place, when you are talking about this issue of inclusiveness, my colleague just now mentioned about the issue of appointment, and it doesn't really stop there when you're talking about inclusiveness. In terms of the issue of how government impacts the people, because definitely the downtrodden, the people down the ladder are supposed to feel more the impact more
positively.
And like what I always say, what do we as the common men actually need from these our leaders that we have chosen to this elected office? Is for them to look at our own plight. It's not by a way of appointing people, whether you are balancing gender, or you are balancing the youth, or and the very old, or the educated and non-educated by way of appointment, that it shows that your government is inclusive. I'm looking at a perspective where, while in government, how have you actually impacted the life of the common man on the street? Like I always say in different fora, what do we really need? Basic things that the common man needs in terms of from government are just things that they can easily do.
So you are saying that the administration under Godwin Obaseki has not impacted positively the people of Edo State?
Very well, because the government of Obaseki is actually representing government of the rich people.
So what makes you think the candidates of the PDP will not impact more or do the otherwise?
No, he has said it on different fora that he's going to continue with the way Obaseki has led in this past 7.5 years. So invariably, he's going to take the part of
all right. Let's get your perspective on that. I'll come to you.
You are asking.
I'll come to you. Let's get your perspective. Let's get your perspective, Ibrahim Momo.
They will not say anything good in the current
I think
government.
the first thing is that when we talk about inclusiveness, it's not about partisanship. We need to put that in perspective. You see, when we talk, it's not an Edo concept. It's not a Benin concept. It is not a Edo gubernatorial election concept. Inclusiveness. It's a globally recognized and acceptable concept. You know, for an election to be fair, to be credible, it has to be free, fair. It has to be inclusive. The question is, when we talk about inclusive governance or inclusive elections that lead to inclusive governance, what is the concept? What are the issues? I think that there are two things that this partisanship ignores. Number one is that classically, it's about representation of every segment of society, particularly three: the youths, women, and persons with disabilities.
Disabilities, yeah. They must all be captured.
If we talk about inclusiveness and all we're talking about is partisanship, then we have missed the point altogether.
True.
The question has to be asked. That's the first point. I'll go to this point just to push it a little further. The second point is that elections are a kind of referendum on the performance of incumbents, either at the level of individuals, maybe if you can second term in office, or the political parties they belong to. But the issue is that's not the same thing. Yes, elections are a referendum, but that is not the concept of inclusiveness. So if we now leave inclusiveness and talk about the referendum on performance or on, so we have missed the point altogether. I think that maybe we can a bit lay down the partisanship and talk about inclusiveness. It will help.
Yes, we are all about inclusiveness in governance.
Yes,
and so we are looking at who the cap fits. We are looking at how to make sure that we capture this even in their manifestos, and how we make sure we capture this in their programs and policies.
Yeah, so when it comes to the elections, for example, Edo, September, just less than 3 weeks, 21st, 2024 general election, Governor Obaseki is not on the ticket. So it should not be about Obaseki. I think it should not be about Obaseki.
It's not about Obaseki, but it's about the party.
Yes. So maybe we look at, we want to examine maybe the candidates themselves or the political parties they belong to. That's the first thing. On that concept, we want to say, okay, for the 17 parties I think that are contesting the elections, how many of them are featuring women, youths, and persons with disability as candidates, either as the premier candidate, the gubernatorial candidate, or the running mate? How many of them are doing that? You'll find out that almost all these arguments will pale into a significant, because I don't want to go specifics, but these are the issues we should be looking at, because it's very easy to color conversations around the partisanships, miss the point. But on the basis of women, youths, and which of them have, for example, persons with disability, 16% of the population, the World Health Organization says that in a given society, at least 16% of the people are persons with disability. At least 16%. Now, in this election, there are about 2.69 million registered voters. If you take the statistics, close to about 500,000 of those are persons with disabilities. Going by that, how many of them, which of the parties have taken this into cognizance in the choice of their gubernatorial candidate and in the choice of their running mates?
Exactly.
These are the issues you should be looking at.
Yeah, but not restricted to the election anyways, but also
Even
looking
the
at...
governor. No,
exactly.
yes.
That's exactly where we're going.
Yes.
Now we are looking at who the cap fits. We are looking at what you are bringing on board as regards your party manifestos, as regards giving us that belief that there is competence in the candidate of the party. And so don't forget that. So it's all encompassing. But we can also look at we can also look at the demographics as regards the election, like you said. But let's quickly join Adaze Enwata. Are you still there, please? Are you still there, Barrister Andrew Enwata? Okay, we will be joining Barrister Andrew Enwata shortly as we get the conversation going. Let's get your reaction over there.
Yeah, well, I was just amused when you were asking my friend here, who's an APC member and supporter, who would definitely want an APC government, even if the candidate, in quotes, is a goat. In quotes. I'm not saying it's a goat. So they don't care, because in this part of the world, we take politics over and above.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Let's quickly get Adaze Enwata. Adaze Enwata, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I told you about the campaign train to Novia.
Okay.
So, the network is not too good. The government makes so much noise about free internet, free this, free that. But you discover that nothing has changed since 2020. When we came campaigning in Novia, he promised that we are going to have more MTN mass candidates. And I can assure you, as Commissioner for Communication, not a single man was attracted by the governor, because that was one of the promises he made across all the communities we went to, both in Novia and elsewhere. So I don't know what Daniel Begin said, so maybe you will be the one to tell me what he said, because I have the right to reply, because I am violent to say that. What am I going to say to this guy? So I think I should know what he said, and I will respond appropriately.
Okay, well, a lot has been said here, but we are looking at the inclusiveness, the need for us to look at what your candidate is bringing on board, or how is he meeting up with the gap in terms of inclusiveness in the election that is forthcoming. The need to also reach out to those who are handicapped or those who have one impediment or the other. They need to also make sure that women are involved, even in election and in governance. So that's exactly what we're all about. So can you tell us, looking at the manifestos of your candidate, of your party, what areas this will be attending to if he wins the election?
Yeah, thank you. My candidate, Senator Bondo Bevolo, who won election on the landslide note last year and is the current senator representing Edo Central, what he's bringing on board is a 5-point agenda. Top on that is security. And apart from security, we also have the issue of road construction, massive road construction, because we have a situation in Edo where you have a good network of bad roads. Whenever it rains, you need a boat to move around in Benin City. You go to other places outside Benin, terrible situation of roads there. So road infrastructure is at the heart of our plan. And we also have affordable health care, because we discovered that a part of the hospital built by Oshobole along Sapler Road, to date, the state government has not been able to put up a good health facility. Stella Obasanjo has been under renovation for the past 4 years. And apart from that, you will discover that it's very expensive to go to that hospital Oshobole built 8 years. The governor failed woefully. That was why he had to sack his commissioner for health about a month ago. And apart from affordable health care, the issue of food security is at the heart of the campaign manifesto of Mondo Bevolo. You also have this issue of water, supply. You discover that in Benin City, everybody runs their own water, facility in their homes. We used used to have, those states water board. You still have people there receiving salaries, but they are not doing anything. Then, lastly, value-driven education. The government calls his program for education and they know best. But when you look at the state of schools in the state, nothing to write about. No new infrastructure. The next thing he does is organize seminar for teachers. It was just close to the election. He said he has approved, the appointment of 5,000 teachers. And when you look at the figure, about 3,500 of those persons will be on 40,000 a month and below the minimum wage. So for me, I think our candidate is offering a better deal, and I know he will deliver, because what we need is a governor that has empathy, not a governor that has treated his deputy governor as a slave. What example will our children in school learn, looking at the way the governor has treated his deputy governor, looking at the way the governor treats our traditional institutions, looking at the way the governor treats even his fellow governors like former governor Wiki and others. We need a man that will unite the state. I don't say it's very divided as we speak. You talk of inclusiveness. You have a governor that ran the assembly with 9 members. 14 members were excluded. Is that inclusive government? You have a governor that does not respect agreements. A governor that does not respect court orders and what have you. So I think what we need is a governor that will give human first to governance. 8 judges across different constituencies were recommended. The governor refused to swear them in. I went to court. Out of those 8, he has sworn in play 5 of them. You have 3 persons who have been recommended for appointment as judge. The governor has refused to swear them in. Will you call that an inclusive government? So I don't really know what John was saying when he said that bitter. I will be bitter against a governor that is not operating according to the mandate he was given. He was given a mandate to send enough people. But what does he do? He sends his friends in Lagos. That's why he uses
talking about
he runs an
inclusiveness.
elitist government. A government that is so far flung from the people. A government that has refused to develop, and that was why I left his government. I stated that in my letter of resignation. It is even now he's trying to fix roads in Uwezo and the Motubu. I was in government. I was not feeling the impact government was having on our people. So I think the next government should ensure that it's not just a question of, we'll bring in women. No. What quality of persons are you bringing on board? Do they have capacity?
Okay, Vice Andrew Wanta, I think we should start with your campaigns. I think we should start with the campaigns. You just said earlier that you are on the campaign ground, and so a lot needs to be done in that direction. And I know that campaigns are in top gear because we just have barely 3 weeks to the election. Now, let's get the demographics that you have captured in the campaigns you've been having as a party. And let's get to know if you've taken your campaigns to even those who are disabled in one way or the other, and how many women are involved in the leadership of your campaign train. Let's get to know that, because first thing is important. Let's get to know how these demographics are featured in your leadership in the campaign, and that will give us an impression of what it will be or look like when if your candidate wins election.
My network here is not too good to continue. On the campaign train, of all the directors, we have about 15 women who are directors. The person in charge of operation is a woman. The person in charge of social groups is a woman. So we have over 15 of them, right, who are in the campaign, leadership. And even more than that, we'll find that in all our campaigns, we allow women to play a prominent role. And Senator Governor is a man that has been able to empower a whole lot of people, particularly mothers. The schools in this community and in other communities, he reduced them. And I think that's the model that others should copy from. In terms of scholarship, you have good female representation in the scholarship he has given. The women empowerment is doing, you have good female representation. And a man who has 2 daughters, one a lawyer and a medical doctor, I think both women and youth will be part of this government. And in terms of age, Dennis Idausa is just 43. We want youth involvement in government. Our candidate is just 53. It's a young man who belongs to my generation, Generation X. Compare them with the candidates of PDP. Aswa Igodalo is almost 65. His running mate is his age mate. If they were to be civil servants, they're not supposed to be enjoying their retirement. So that's the problem we have. Those people who have refused allow the young people to have their way. They say you can be leaders of tomorrow, but with these old men around, can we be the leaders of tomorrow? The answer cannot be yes. So in terms of inclusiveness, APC has a ticket that works. Even Labour Party has a ticket that works. Ataka is a young man. But I think this present government has failed woefully, and I know people must vote out the government of Obaseki, because Aso Igodalo has been part of this government as chairman of Igodalo. He comes from the Senatorial district. He has never planted a single tree. They say, oh, Igodalo is an investment summit. What investment have they attracted? And they ask me, what investment have they attracted to Edo Central? They promised a new enterprise park. That thing, as we speak, is a white goose chase. They have used it to take out billions of Edo taxpayers' money away. They promised an airport in Edo North. Even Gelegele people, they are not talking about Gelegele again. So I mean, this is a scam of a governor. And I know people cannot wait to vote out that government to come to the 21st of September this year.
Barrister Andrew Emata. Barrister Andrew Emata. You still have the floor. You still have the floor. You still have the floor, but I just want to drop this.
You talked of Ali Pute University, not if we don't put the protecting the rules, can Obaseki tell us in all honesty, which academic institution has been built?
Andrew. Barrister Andrew. Let me quickly drop this.
What effort has it done or putting to ensure that our children learn in good environment? Go across. You discover that what they are doing, they are running a social media government. I was commissioner for information. I know the level to which they can go with propaganda. And it's a shame. I didn't want to be part of that front. That was why I even left the party. Because people are afraid to talk to the governor. Because you're placed as a dictator.
Okay, Mr. Andrew. Mr. Andrew, can you hear me?
Making decisions and enforcing decisions with the use of...
Mr. Andrew, can you hear me?
That kind of government does not deserve our sympathy.
Mr. Andrew, can you hear me? Let me quickly drop this. You made mention of the fact that the come election, you are going to do the needful in making sure that you win the elections. But let's look at what could be seen as a litmus test on how the election will be September 21. There was a poll, an opinion poll that was garnered just a few weeks ago by EBDA and audited by Business Day, that brought the PDP on the front runner, scoring 68% in that poll, in that opinion poll, while that of your party's candidate, Senator Monday Okpebolo, garnered 18%, and that of Olumide Akpata, like you said, garnered 14%. Don't you see this as a true test of what may pan out September 21?
I have to be very honest. Who was the organizers of that opinion poll? Business Day and Eagle Badger. Eagle Badger is owned by Ose Aneni. They did one earlier, I think on the before the PDP, because the PDP primaries was on the 22nd of February. They did an opinion poll that was published in the Punch of 16th January, check Punch of 16th January this year, to predict that 70% of the voters in the PDP primaries will vote for the candidate from Edo Central. And that in favor of Aso Igodalo as the person that the governor was imposing from Edo Central. 1 month to the general election, they are also doing a so-called opinion poll organized by Ose Aneni. Who is Ose Aneni? Is the director of strategy of the PDP campaign. Last year, Business Day, I saw one write-up they did about various states, and they didn't list Edo. I called them and I insisted that I was commissioner for youth and gender, that they must consider us for nomination in that category. They eventually did. When we went to Abuja, I was the one that picked the award on behalf of the governor. I'm aware that they are still to get the money the government made as a pledge, over 10 million. And I heard that recently they paid it. So you cannot take such an opinion poll seriously. For me, Edo people are the ones that will go out on the 21st of September, this month. That will be the referendum. Now this fake opinion poll organized by PDP. I just gave you the background. You cannot take such a poll seriously. Even the one organized by Labour Party was done specially by people sponsored by the Labour Party's candidates. So people want to tell you what they will get in the election. But it is the people of Edo State that will decide, not candidates of parties or political parties. That's why we as a party will not be involved in that front. Otherwise, the president can sell the lives of people to do that. But we are talking to the people directly.
Thank you, Barrister Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, thank you.
people of Edo State, they are
Thank you, Andrew. We're going to be taking a short break. We're going to be taking a short break. After the short break, we'll be also joining you after the guests in the studio have also reacted and also made their thoughts known for your last remark. Look at what you have to say on your thoughts as regards the inclusiveness and what
You know, the other
Barrister
time,
Andre Wata said.
the other time I was on channels with this Ewanta, you know, I told the channels people, I said, you know, a man that openly went on national TV last year to say that he was a mercenary and he was open to be engaged by politicians. And I was proud to say he was a mercenary. And you ask him critical questions that borders on the future of the state, the future of the country. He's going to speak in line with those who are paying him. And that is what he's completely done this morning. Turning truth on his head. The government that you served for 3 years, and you are trying to recriminate. You are trying to pour cold water on the achievements of the government. If you say Obaseki has not done anything, that means you yourself failed for three years, and you stayed in that government. It was until you were booted out you now recognize that, oh, this government has not done anything. If you say this government has not done anything, then the people of Iyekogba, where Obaseki created that road, and he created a new city, a new area in that environment, from Iyekogba Airport Road to Obage and down to Saple Road. They are going to say, no, he did. If you say he has not done anything, the areas where Obaseki have worked, then the people are going to speak with their vote. So when you come out to say a government has not done anything for 8 years, I was reading something on social media a few weeks ago, a few months ago, where somebody said that he was from the poor of the poor family. And that when they said they should apply for a job in Edo State government, he just wanted to just apply. He didn't know anybody. But yet, he was taken because there was an exam that was written where the person passed, and the person today is a public servant working in the Edo State public service. Under Obaseki, you don't need to know anybody. And that is what governance is all about. You don't need to know anybody to get anything.
Okay.
If you bid for a project, you are given if you are qualified for that project. If you apply for a job, you are given that job if you qualify, if you pass the exam, for the job. Now, to look at inclusiveness, you must look at the number of women in Obaseki's government currently.
Okay.
We must look at.
But don't also forget the campaign. The campaigns, we want to see that. We want to see that demographics.
I will get there, please. Now, we must look at the number of women in his campaign, in his government. We must also look at the number of young people. This is the government that has the highest number of women serving in the ESCO. The highest number of female appointees. There's no governor in the history of Edo State that has appointed the much women Obaseki has appointed into his government at various levels. There's no governor in the history of Edo State that has appointed the highest number of young people that Obaseki has appointed. I believe those were the things that we came to talk about in this studio. Not to bring somebody who is bitter that he was sacked by the governor and he's throwing tantrums everywhere like a little boy. So we must be able to, we must be careful to look at the people that we listen to when it comes to addressing the issues that borders our state. Even in the campaign, there are women in the PDP campaign, many women, maybe probably up to 25%, women who are engaged at various senior levels in the campaign of the PDP.
In leadership roles.
And Aswe Igodalo in leadership roles. So these are people who understand that competence does not come with gender. Competence does not even come with the age of the person. So they look at the person that is competent, the people that can get the job done. Of course, they engage them to serve in one way or the other, either in the government or currently in the campaign. So, I struggle to actually listen to him, to hear some of the things he was saying. But I can tell you that many of the things he said are not true. They are not true because it's coming from somebody who is bitter, who was sacked from his job, and it's not coming from somebody who agreed, who said by himself he was not forced.
Okay.
On national TV last year, that he was a mercenary. That he was a mercenary, he was available for any politician to use.
All right.
And I will give you the background of Andrew Ewanta. When he was sacked from government, he actually called me and he said he wanted to come back to the APC, that I should help him speak with Isaiah. Then I was very close to Isaiah. And of course, I did it. They met.
But you can say that within yourself.
He can tell me,
should that be brought to?
No, he is here now. No, because we have to know the motive of a man, so we will know whether we can believe what he's saying or not.
All right.
So he's here. He's listening to me.
Okay.
So he should counter me if I'm lying. And I made that meeting happen.
Okay.
But it didn't work. Now, in the APC, and I've told him he has to be careful. Because even the people he's working for in the APC, they don't like him. They're only using him for the election. Because a man that went to court to stop the appointment of Pius Odubu as the chairman of NDDC, what do you expect? You expect the people in APC to like that kind of person?
Okay, let's not go personal. Let's not go personal.
No, I'm not going personal. I'm trying to say this is the character of a man who is talking, that we should not take what he's saying.
Okay, as we bring this to a conclusion.
Those are the things.
As we bring this to a conclusion.
You are rushing me. This man had 23 minutes. I've barely spoken for 3 minutes and you are interjecting.
You have spoken for 3 minutes.
No, of course, I've barely spoken for 3 minutes and you are interjecting. So he had 23 minutes to speak lies against the government that he served for 3 years. So the points must be laid bare.
No,
it must be made clear.
You shouldn't blackmail the anchor.
No, I'm not blackmailing. I'm saying no. He is stopping me. He is stopping me. You are not the anchor, please. No, he is stopping me, and I'm only reminding him that he gave him 23 minutes to speak and asked him 3 different questions, and he had opportunity.
But you've been speaking.
To spread falsehood.
You've been
so
speaking.
The point I want to make.
Even you were the first person that spoke even before he joined.
No, I didn't speak. He spoke first. He spoke first. I only responded to him. So the point I want to make is that somebody who is bitter, somebody who says he's a mercenary, should not be his words should not be taken for a fact. Should not be taken as.
You've articulated your point.
That is the point.
Now, let's, as we get to a conclusion of this, let's look at the disparities in the APC government at the center, and the need to do the needful in the state in order to wrestle these challenges that the people of Edo State are really facing. Some have said that even the APC at the center is not even carrying the people along, the masses along, and which seem to have a lack of inclusiveness in me, because it's not really helping to fill the pulse of those who are really victims, in the challenge of the economic hardship we are faced with. What makes you think that that would all go well for the APC candidate, being that the people basically may use that as an opportunity to cast their vote for the opposition?
Yeah. Firstly, it is obvious that the economy is actually biting. Even when I came in here just now, I told you that the economy was sweet and you were laughing. I agree that everyone is feeling the pinch of the economic situation of the country. But it would be an understatement to put the whole blame on the APC-led federal government as we speak. I agree that 2 policies implemented by the federal government actually affected or contributed to the situation we are having now. But even the president himself acknowledged the fact that the removal of fuel subsidy and the floating of the naira actually is going to affect everybody in the country, and he has promised us time without number that we should be patient and all that. Coming back to your question, I actually for about 10 days that I've been involved in our campaign, and we have seen a situation whereby some people on the street will have to just talk to us as about draw our attention to the hardship that is around and all that.
Which is a setback. Which is a setback for the efforts your party is making to win an election in Edo State.
Yes, but even at that, we on the field, we try as much as possible to still explain to them that some of these policies agreed. As we speak, it's a little bit.
I'm really happy that you agree that it's a setback.
A little bit, yes.
Okay.
But we are going to our people to always reassure them and talk to them about the fact that there will be light at the end of the tunnel, because at the end of the day,
how long will people wait?
There's no sacrifice without pain, Phillips. You understand? Some of these policies.
The pain is getting too long.
That is what you think. That is what you think, because if you even look at it,
all right.
If you even look at it, you discover that in no time, if you look at the policies of this federal government, APC-led federal government, you discover that there are hopes.
Okay.
There are hopes.
Thank you. Let's get your thoughts on this as we call it a wrap.
Well, the first thing to say is that, again, inclusiveness is not partisanship. It is not a political party. Inclusiveness is not a political party issue. We need to agree amongst ourselves that we need to really accept the fact that if we are not being inclusive, trying to mudsling maybe the incumbent or maybe a political party would not make up for lack of inclusiveness. Secondly is that, just to speak to the point you asked him about the economic policies of the federal government, I think that Nigerians ought to realize that there are 7 levels of government in Nigeria, 7 levels of elections. Every one of them is important. The mistake people make, if the gubernatorial election in Edo was not important, we won't be talking about it. If everything starts and ends with the federal government, the fortunes of Nigeria is only about the president, not even the federal government. Because at the federal level, there's the president, there's the National Assembly, the Senate, and the House of Reps. And so if it was only about the presidency, then we shouldn't be having a gubernatorial election in Edo. If it's about, I've mentioned the president, the Senate, House of Reps, you have the gubernatorial, even the House of Assemblies. Every one of them is important. Those are 5. At the local government, you have the local government chairman and you have the councillors. All 7 are important. So our issues, the governorship of Edo is important. In fact, I tell people that we don't have federal citizens. We can have Edo or Delta or Lagos. We don't have federal citizens. So when there are issues, let us not always circumscribe them around the president, the president. For example, the issue of those policies he highlighted, the issue, whether it is the removal of fuel subsidy, which was taking about like 7% of all national income.
Okay.
Or the liberalization of Naira.
All right.
Were there policies that were right or wrong?
Thank you.
Nobody argues about the rightness of those policies. It depends. When GSM first came out, it was 35,000 Naira for 10,000.
Thank you.
I bought my first life for 25,000. People were complaining.
Okay.
Then, is that the case now? If we have right policies in place,
Thank you.
the pains should not be the reason why we should not support those
Thank
policies.
you. I take that as your final submission on this. Let's quickly get to your final words on this.
Well, if this was a really, really sane society, civilized society, the APC should never have a candidate. Talk less of bringing a candidate that is manifestly incompetent, and they're trying to shove him down our throat. With what the APC government, the 2 governments we've had in APC since 2015, with what they've done, with how they've impoverished Nigerians, with the inflation, and with their policy somersaults. Now you are saying that we should make sacrifice, but the president went to get another private jet. So, got a private yacht as well. They are living large at our expense, and we are suffering, the people. So, if this was a proper society where people think the candidate of the APC should never be an issue. And now they went to show that disrespect for Nigerians. They went to bring somebody who did not even understand the difference between a zoo and a museum. So how people who are educated support that kind of element really baffles me. So we must take politics beyond where it is now.
Okay,
we must play the right politics. We must play the politics that empowers the people, that focuses on the state and not political party or political leaders.
Thank you, Dan Osaogbege. I think I brought a balance to that, and you don't have any grievances or grievances over
grievances
time or duration given to you
there's
allotted
no
you.
grievance.
Okay, well, in 10 seconds, I'm giving you Barrister Ewanta. Please, in 10 seconds, round off.
You know, he's going to speak.
He's one of those telling that lie that I was just sacked as commissioner. The governor had ripples in his government. The last ESCO we had, the SSG and the deputy governor almost fought. That was what made the governor to dissolve his ESCO. And he saw me as a Shaibu man. And because of that, I said I was not going to serve again in this government. And I resigned. My letter of resignation is everywhere. It's just that Kano Bege is too lazy to read. And second, they mentioned Odubu. I don't have anything personal. Odubu and I, we have very good relationship. We went to court to interpret certain provisions of the law. It was Obaseki that never wanted him. And Obaseki fought against the appointment. And at that time, it happened I was in his government. And I also want to talk about the insurance mercenary you mentioned. What I did 4 years ago is what he's doing for a loaf of bread. I've gone past that stage of my life. I can never go on TV again on behalf of the governor. But what I do, I speak to issues. It's because the governor failed, that's why I abandoned him and his government. I served in 3 ministries as commissioner in the state of
Thank you.
and I've left my
Thank-
father's touch in
Thank you, Barrister Andrew.
Then finally, I'm a married man with children. I understand the plight of the average Edo people. Yes, we have a federal government that met.
Thank you, Barrister Andrew. I think we're gonna be having this conversation some other time. I'm afraid there's much we can take on this. Big thanks, Danos Agbege, for taking time to be part of this.
Thank you
And of
for
course,
having
Ibrahim
me,
Momo, and of
Philip.
course, Omogbe. Thank you, Barrister Andrew.